And we're live. Welcome everyone. This podcast is in alpha and may be subject to change. And of course I have, as always, with me today, my ever-reliable co-host. Very well known for being one of the... Actually here, and part of the award-winning Super Jump. I need more titles to throw on top of that. Just gonna keep adding stuff. First of his name.
Hello, it's me, Tefanio.
Saffron, welcome to the show. Okay.
Saffron, yes.
I wasn't expecting. Yeah, apparently it's also Saffron. The Big T, Saffron.
T-Bone was
T-Bone.
one for a while.
That was one originally. I don't know why it was or how it got. It just happened. A lot happens,
That might have actually happened in our very first stream together. Nostalgia.
Was it the first stream?
I feel like it was. I remember playing Halo, which was our first stream.
Yeah, we definitely played Halo. It might have been during the Halo one.
Halo Reach. Weird.
Yeah, I want to play Halo again. Halo's a good time. I played
Let's play Halo. Let's suck off the podcast and play Halo.
Yeah. Let's just go play Halo right now.
Right, see you guys. We're leaving the computer to play Halo on the computer.
I'm gonna go play Halo on my other computer that is right next to me. All right. So, speaking of games, shall we talk about the games that we've been playing or not really been playing this week? Because in my case, I've not played a lot.
Yeah, we don't have much to talk about this week, really, do we? And of course, I'll go for... I'm so sorry, I've got to stop. What are you drinking? What is that?
It's just, it's...
That looks horrific. What is it?
It's just the hot chocolate. Don't worry about it.
That is not hot chocolate. That is not a substance that man is supposed... That looks like you fished that out of a muddy puddle.
I guess it looks worse on cam.
I can literally see there's like 2 layers to it. It's split like oil and water.
That's just like the little...
You need to give that a stare, pal.
No, it's fine. It's just... It doesn't look... Listen, it looks better when I put it in the light over here. See?
Okay. I'll let you live. The cup's also weird, but I'll move on. Yeah, I don't think either of us have been playing much this week. I'll go first. I'll stare because I usually have a little bit more to say than you do, but not much actually this week. We've both been playing MGS. Should we talk about that first? We've played a bit more MGS.
We have played a bit more MGS. It's been a lot of fun playing it though as well. Oh, I'm having a good time with MGS.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of fun last time.
Yeah, the whole basement segment that we went through, we had the most fun backtracking for whatever reason. I don't know how that happened.
That is like clearly supposed to be like a 5-minute segment where you just run back to a room you've been to previously to grab something and you leave again. But we were just stuck in there for so long and it was a mess. And why is it the only room in the whole game with trapdoors? Why?
Listen, I didn't fall down any trapdoors. Okay, it wasn't a problem for me.
It's the thing. I kept forgetting that they were there because they're such a non-issue most of the time. Because as long as you're just walking down a corridor and you don't stop, you're never gonna have a problem with them because they always open once you've walked past them. But of course, the one time I had to stop and pivot, I happened to be stood exactly on a trapdoor, and I didn't even need to pivot. Oh, it's just a mess. But yeah, you can watch the clips for that. We don't need to talk about that. That's enough pain for me. But it's been good fun so far.
It has been good fun, even though someone messed up the true ending.
Okay, I didn't know. You told me that you had to submit. You actually said that.
Did I actually say it?
Yeah. So I thought we did have to because you said, because I asked you whether you can beat it, and you said no. So I was like, oh, okay. So I submitted, and I only found out earlier today that you actually can beat it. I don't know how, because the 2 of us were mashing the button.
I don't know.
There's only meant to be 1 person mashing a button. 2 of us were doing it.
Maybe it was registering it as like a turbo controller and making it harder for us because we were doing it so fast.
Maybe, because I don't know how it responds. He did say that he'll know if you're using a turbo controller, breaks the
Yeah.
fourth wall and goes, "Don't use a turbo button."
Yeah.
But yeah, but maybe, because it didn't seem possible. There's no way we could have done it. But yeah, I submitted. So I've well, I won't spoil it. But I've messed up, and we're getting a slightly worse ending. So
But don't worry, they'll be back in Metal Gear 4. Are they in 2, actually? Are they in 2 as well? I know they're in 4.
we won't be able to play 4
No, we won't. That's fine.
unless you want to buy an action board and a PS3.
Ooh, no, I've actually got a PS3 downstairs somewhere. So, I mean, got that half covered.
We just need to figure out how to run Moonlight through a PS3. How hard? I mean, obviously, we're doing that already, of course.
Yeah,
with our
yeah.
PlayStation 1, so it'll be easy.
Just put it through the capture card, and it's problem solved. It's
Easy peasy.
no problem at all. But yeah, I don't know. Did I say to submit? I'm trying to remember now because I thought I was like, oh, you actually submitted at the end.
Oh, you did freak out, but I thought you were joking. I the whole time I thought that you were just playing it up. You did at one point. In hindsight, now you must have been joking, but I thought you were really telling me to just give up. So I was like, oh, okay.
I don't care too much because it doesn't change the ending too much. It just means one character doesn't live.
I've heard that it's when I was looking it up, it's apparently a slightly more impactful ending, so maybe it'll work out well for me. But it's not the canon ending anymore.
No,
So
yeah, that's fine. Doesn't really matter too much. I feel like maybe we should have went for the old like the pinch your finger together and brush it over the circle trick because I was just mashing. Maybe that would have worked better. You know method I'm talking about, right?
I've never done that actually. I mean,
yeah, you like
I do that. I've never heard of it.
You like do that over and over. I can't really see.
You like pinch it like that to pinch in. I love the way we both just have DualShock 4. It's just handy for the. Oh.
Like that, and then you just keep rushing it over.
I can't even do that.
It's like you're strumming on a guitar, but over the circle button.
Oh, I need to use my strumming hand then. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, get some good action going there.
You do. I feel like that might be a good way of doing it.
I'll keep that in mind for future button mashing efforts because I've never known about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think I couldn't hold the controller up like that while I was doing it, so I was just like, I'll just mash. Yeah, handy trick.
I've just perfected the art of kind of putting your arm into it, so you hold it sort of like that, so you're mashing with your arm. Well, like usually you just use your thumb.
And you just like make your arm like
sort of make it a whole
vibrate.
You can't really see on camera, but yeah, put your arm into it instead.
Yeah, these are some pro gamer tricks for all the kids out there who need to button mash. Are there many games where you need to button mash nowadays?
I'd say there's more games with QTEs being a thing. I'd say it's more common than it was.
I feel like QTEs had like there was like an era where there was a bunch of QTE games, and then they died down a bit because a lot of people hated QTEs for a while.
They're not as common as they once were, but I still think they're still fairly common. But yeah. Anyway, so I think MGS is getting like more fun for me now because we're now past the point where I've played it up to before. So I'm actually like.
That's why I didn't want to spoil the torture stuff, honestly.
Yeah, I am actually enjoying the story though. I didn't expect to be honest, because what I've known about it in the past, I've always just kind of thought it was anime convoluted trash sort of thing, honestly. But I'm kind of being pulled into it. I am really enjoying it so far.
It gets a lot more convoluted later on.
Yeah,
but it's also a lot more fun. I don't know.
I always kind of thought that I would enjoy the first game story because it's mostly self-contained. But then, as it goes on, obviously it's adding more and more to the story throughout the series, and I know it does get quite insane.
I mean,
there's a lot of clones and stuff.
Free can feel a bit self-contained as well if you just play Free for the first time as well, because that's a prequel.
Yeah, well, that's the earliest in the timeline, isn't it? So I guess just because of that alone, it's going to feel quite self-contained.
Yeah, two is like just a direct sequel to 1, and then 4 is a sequel to 2, and then 5 is 5 comes after Peace Walker, which is the PSP game, which comes after Metal Gear 3. You don't really need to play Peace Walker though. That's like, it's okay.
I'd rather play Metal Gear Acid if we're going to play any PSP Metal Gear games.
No
one ever talks about that one anymore. We like to pretend that didn't happen.
We don't talk about that one, do we?
There's 2 of them actually. They made a sequel.
I mean, there's actually, I feel like there's a bunch of more Metal Gear games that I'm forgetting about. I feel like there's a bunch of like spin-off ones. There might not be that many, but
I don't think there's that many spin-offs, to be fair. I mean, there's Metal Gear Rising.
Risen's really good. I think if you liked that type of game, you'd love Risen.
What do you mean?
It's just a very metal game. What can I say? I don't know. You at the start, the very opening of that game, you suplex a Metal Gear.
I mean, okay, that's pretty cool.
To metal.
That's pretty
so I say metal. It's like yeah, it's a good time though.
Well, besides Metal Gear, I've not really been playing too much. Just been playing like more Forza Horizon, which I spoke about last week, so I won't talk more about that. Although they did an hour before we were doing this podcast, they did a live stream on Twitch, and they announced that they're bringing a new mode where it's kind of a new mode, but it's kind of building on ideas they already had. So you could already make your own races in Forza. You could kind of set up your own checkpoints and build your own races. But they're adding a new mode where you'll be able to put props down, like ramps and giant T-Rexes for some reason, and build like stunt
Do the
tracks.
T-Rexes move, or are they just decoration?
They're just like props, sadly.
Very sad.
But it's kind of like Trackmania, GTA Online sort of deal. Which is cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's just cool that they're still adding these free updates. The game's 2 years old now, and they're still coming up with new things to add to it.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, I don't know. I like when games just get continued support because, you know, some games eventually just get dropped pretty quickly. But I feel like Forza is one of those games where they've kind of built it as like a bit of a live service in a sense, from what I understand.
Yeah, they definitely have with Horizon 4, because I didn't play any of the earlier ones, but my understanding is that it's not a particularly old series, but it's already on its 4th entry. Like, they were just pumping out sequels, but then with 4 they've kind of stopped and they've just started building on what they've already got for 4 and just adding more and more content. It's a bit overwhelming, honestly. I still don't understand a lot of the systems in the game, and a lot of the game modes really, and a lot of the menu layout. I don't know what's going on in half of it. A lot of it seems to kind of do the same thing. There seems to be like 4 different ways to view your progress in the game, which just baffles me. I think that's the downside of having this sort of game as a service platform style development, is you just keep bolting things on until it becomes kind of overwhelming for anyone who's coming into the game for the first time. But at the same time, it's still more content, isn't it? And I can't really complain about that.
I do think the other side of that is very early on, these games tend to not have as much, so you go in and you don't get the full experience of what you could get if you went in later on. You kind of feel like you're missing out on a lot, and then you've got to wait for content. But usually they have a good schedule for that, typically.
Yeah, I mean, Forza releases new things every month, and every month they have a new series, is what they call it, and it's basically there's like a new set of challenges. Usually a new car you can win. Most of the time, it's actually a new car to the game as well, and you can win like a bunch of new cars and items for your character and stuff just by like doing these challenges, and loads of community events, because it's like a very much an online game too. They push the community. Forza's kind of always been an online game. It's always had online races, and you've always been able to kind of make your own decals of the cars and share them. But this goes all in with like community built races as well. And the fact that it's kind of a semi-online game, where when you boot it into the game, it puts you in a session with 30 other players, and you can get together and race.
Yeah, it's kind of like GTA Online in that sense.
Yeah, or even it's obviously got DNA of Test Drive Unlimited, which is a quite an
Mm,
old game now, but that's where this all started with this semi-online racing game format, and
mm.
a lot of racing games have kind of stolen it since and developed it and made it a lot better than Test Drive Unlimited because that was kind of a cool idea, but not actually a fun game to play.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of cool stuff. It's live services has really become like a big trend over the last like
Definitely,
few years. Like even
especially with Microsoft Game.
Final Fantasy 15 had like a live service thing going where they were putting in like events and stuff and new quests every so often. Like they'd have crossover quests for other games. Like there was an Assassin's Creed festival they had.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they had photo competitions too. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they had a bunch of weird stuff, but I never really dived into a ton of that either. Like I kind of missed out on the Assassin's Creed one. And then there was one other one that they did, which I think was a crossover with some other anime game, but I can't remember the name.
Mm.
They had a
There was, but I
lot.
can't remember what it was now. But there was another crossover.
Yeah.
That's Final Fantasy 15 is actually a prime example of the problem with this games as a service. What you were saying about how you miss out on
Mm.
content if you start earlier, you literally miss out on part of the story if you play Final Fantasy 15 at launch.
It's true because they actually added a bunch to the very last chapter of the game after
Mhm.
launch. I think it was, I don't, was it a month or so after?
And a few of the chapters in the sort of mid to late game as well. They
Did they
expanded on
actually,
them.
did they
I
expand
think
on
they
them?
fixed up the ending, but yeah, they expanded on some of the. I think they actually added a chapter that kind of just added one into the middle, if I remember correctly.
Do you know
Um,
which chapter that is? Because I might have just missed out on that
check.
chapter.
Let's see. I'll look
Because
into it.
yeah,
Um,
I thought they only like lengthened the last chapter because I remember they put in a bunch of characters that you know. Because honestly, what I felt like that game should have been is the last chapter should have been so much longer. I think that should have been like they would have made that the midpoint of the game. The game would have been amazing.
yeah, well, the whole problem with the game is how it's rushed out the door far too early, wasn't it? So,
Mm.
um,
It was just a really ambitious game that they rushed out and unfortunately we missed out on a lot, which is very sad to see.
yeah, they did change the ending, as you said. I need to figure out how many chapters there are before I can
Yeah, true.
figure out
Actually,
where this is. Um,
I'm trying to remember
it was
because
chapter 13 that they overhauled.
do you know do you know what that is?
There are
Hold on.
15 chapters. So yeah, it's the like sort of mid to late game.
Is that the one where you're in the compound maze thing? Or is that the train? Chapter 13, FF15. Hold on. Let me just take a little brief look at this.
Yeah, I did have 15 at launch, but I fell off it. I've never gotten to the part where the game stops being open world. Um, so
Mm,
luckily, I never really had this problem. If I'd played the whole game when I first got it, then I would have missed out on some of the story. But the thing is, I gave up on the game once I realized that I wouldn't be able to get a complete story anyway. There isn't a complete story to find in that game. It certainly wasn't at the start when it was launched. Now there's more to the story in the game, but even then, you're still expected to also watch a movie to get the rest of the story. So
mm.
that put me off it really.
I don't think you need to watch the movie for that, but it is I don't know, it adds fun to it. It's not much though, because most of the characters that are in, or a lot of the characters that are in there, don't appear in the game. Because
I
if that movie focuses on a protagonist that, spoiler, dies at the end of the film, I'm pretty sure. So,
well, the writing in general, though, rubbed me the wrong way because I could tell that it wasn't finished. And I think I mentioned this to you before, but I always get to the same point and stop because to me, it's the point where the writing breaks down too much, and it's one sequence where a new character is introduced, and she walks in, and I believe she's related to one of the main characters. And she just walks in and starts talking to everyone as if we already know who she is. She's not introduced. It's blatantly obvious that there was a scene earlier in the game that was cut where she was introduced, and it just perfectly sums up the problems of the writing in that game. And you kind of come to, when you play Final Fantasy, I'm not saying they're always good stories, but you expect it to be fairly competently written, and that was just
I don't remember
so
that.
badly put together that it kind of just turned me off the game.
Yeah, I actually don't remember that. I think I know which character you're talking about, but I don't remember them coming in and it being like that. Was that in the when you get to like the big city
Yeah, and
in a hotel or whatever?
they're in a hotel. She just walks in, and you're meant to know who she is. And it just doesn't introduce her at all. It's very weird.
Mm. Yeah, I actually don't remember that, but yeah, that chapter 13 was definitely one of the worst chapters in the game because you could actually there was actually two different playthroughs for that chapter because you could split into two different groups and you could decide which group you played as essentially,
Right.
and it was just a lot of corridors was the problem. There was a lot of corridors and it was very linear, and it was supposed to be like a really heavy narrative section, but it drags on for far too long is the problem. So you just locked in there. So hopefully they fix that.
Overhauled a lot of that chapter.
Yeah. Other than that, I just wish they would have done so much more with that game.
I actually think they lengthened that chapter.
Oh no.
They added in a new segment. Yeah, interesting.
But I mean, if they made it more fun.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I feel bad for 15. It did have a lot of potential. It just didn't come together. Hopefully 16 does a better job. I'm quite excited for 16. I like the style of it. I like the aesthetic it's going for. It feels it's a type of Final Fantasy we've not had in a long time, and I think it'll be really refreshing.
Yeah.
So
far, none from the trailers has been like gripped me with the characters so far. It's not been like I find any of these characters interesting. So
I never really get that impression from the trailers anyway.
I feel like you can do that though.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't in general, but with Final Fantasy, I never do. I mean, with Final Fantasy, the characters are always developed over many hours anyway. I'm not expecting to get a feel for them in a short trailer. But yeah, we've not been playing Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's okay. I thought about playing it. It's good enough.
I want to play some more.
Yeah, what else have we been playing then? Trying to think.
And the other game that I've really been playing is I've got a bit of the old Tomb Raider 2 going. I've been playing some of that.
Oh,
Classic,
yes.
one of my all-time favorite games. I've kind of I'm in the awkward middle section of the game now where it drops down a bit and just gets really dull.
What would you consider?
It's only 2 levels really, but God, it feels like it goes on forever. It's the offshore rig segment of the game. It's just awful.
Okay.
It's so bad. And you've just got to power through that because it's such a good game, except for those 2 levels. And it really, really picks up after those 2 levels, but they're both long levels and they're really dull because you're on an oil rig and everything's grey. And for the first half of it's 2 levels, that segment, and for the first half of the first level you don't have any weapons. First quarter of that level you don't have any weapons, and you're just kind of just running around dodging bullets in a game where everyone shoots hit scan, so you can't really dodge the bullets. You've just got to tank them.
I'm trying to remember that like those 2 levels and what they're like. Do you start off in like you're in like a cell block?
Yeah. So these come after the Venice levels because she gets captured, and because every classic segment where you get captured and you wake up with no weapons and you have to find all your weapons again. That always happens. This is one of those. I never like those levels anyway, but this is easily the worst one. It's a combination of so many things. Not having your weapons at the start is just irritating. I get why they do it to spice things up, but it's not actually fun to do. Because you do just end up having to run past loads of enemies, and you have to like just tank their shots because you can't really dodge them. That offshore rig level has a segment where you have to get a character to chase you.
Oh, I remember this level now.
Got to get him to shoot at the glass behind you. So you've got to just stand there and tank a few shots until he misses one. But he almost always hits because of the way the hit scan works. So you kind of just got to stand there and wait until he shoots through the glass, and it's not fun because it's just a waste of medipacks.
This is the one with the submarine, isn't it? When you first get out. I am thinking of the right one here. You gotta like run up the like ramp, look it's like the top corner, and then turn and break right into like a control room.
Yeah, it's not a submarine, it's a plane, but yeah, you're thinking of the right thing.
Okay, yeah, okay.
It's the plane that she arrives in because she hops onto the plane at the end of the Opera House level, and that's my other problem with that level. The first time you play in this game, that level is going to be so hard because you're getting shot at, and chances are you're not going to have a lot of medipacks if this is your first time playing Tomb Raider 2, and if you're not not used to the series in general. You're probably going to be low on medipacks because you've just come from the Opera House level, which is insanely hard and insanely long and full of really dumb traps that can get you killed really easily. So you're probably going to be struggling for health packs coming into Offshore Rig. It's not a great level. The second level of that segment is diving area, which isn't it isn't as irritating as Offshore Rig. It's just dull. It's just not got much going on, and it's more of the same grey corridors. Because you're literally, you can't make an oil rig interesting, really. They're boring places. It's just all grey walls and metal and occasionally swimming, and it's incredibly dull. I didn't actually mention the worst part about the offshore rig level, which is the fact that when you first break out of the cell, it sets off an alarm, which is just a constant wah, 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 which plays the whole time for the next 10 minutes until you find a switch to switch it off. And then it comes back again later in a level, it goes off again, and you have to find another switch. And it's just, oh, it's horrible. They're not good levels. Thankfully, after that, you then have the sunken ship segment, which is amazing, and then you've got the Tibetan hills, the Tibetan mountains segment, which is also just probably it's like that's peak Tomb Raider. Those two segments are just like some of the best Tomb Raider levels of all time. So all is forgiven, but yeah, gotta just get through the offshore rig levels first.
I was mixing up Tomb Raider Freak when I said cell block, because you in that one you get caught and then you end up in an actual cell block with a bunch of cells. This one I think you're just in like one cell and then there's like a block you push or something in an area to get out.
Yeah, they just throw you in the storeroom.
Yeah, that's it.
Like because you're in an offshore rig, obviously, so you're just kind of in a storeroom full of boxes. And they push a box in front of the button that lets you out, thinking you won't find it, I guess. And yeah, it's just a simple block, like a block sliding puzzle. Yeah, I mean that happens in all the first three Tomb Raiders. You have that happen, don't you? Because it happens in Tomb Raider 1 as well with Natla's Mines, which is a very similar level to Offshore Rig actually, where it's got all the same problems, where it's too much man-made stuff and it's just too much of you running around getting shot at in grey buildings.
I feel like I don't remember the mines being as bad as that though. That one was like really difficult if I remember. Or two's cell segment was really difficult in comparison. I don't know. It's been a while. I think Tomb Raider 1 was easier in general though.
Yeah. Tomb Raider 2 is a lot harder, and mostly because it's harder in a cheap way though, because it's just because of the hit scan enemies. In Tomb Raider 1, everything that can attack you is either melee, or when it shoots at you, you can see the projectile coming towards you and you've got time to dodge it. So it's just because everyone's got hit scan guns in Tomb Raider 2, it's cheap. If you just run up to them and then run circles around them so that they can't point their gun at you, or just keep rolling so that you're in front of them and then behind them and then in front of them again so that they keep spinning and they can't shoot you. That's the best way to deal with any enemies with a gun. You've just got to cheese it, which is cheap, but it's the only way you're going to get through that game. It's that game's biggest flaw by far. Big problem with that.
I think that's one of the only problems I had with Tomb Raider 2. And that and like one of the last levels just kind of felt it felt like it was kind of unfinished. But I guess it was just supposed to be weird. It's where everything's like green and it's all like floating islands and stuff. That felt weird to me.
Yeah, that is a bit mental. I mean, Tomb Raider always goes very fantasy.
I think that's the most fantasy the Tomb Raiders go though, isn't it?
I
I'm
think
trying to
it is. It
remember.
definitely is. Yeah, it is because I think it's the only one where you get like transported to a different world, but it does go a bit insane.
Mm,
That level's a bit of a fan favorite. I kind of agree with you though that it's just okay.
yeah,
And the setting is insane. Like you're on floating shards of jade, just floating in the sky in an alternate universe.
yeah.
It's a bit crazy.
It's interesting if I just remember feeling short and it feeling like I don't know something was missing from that level. That's how I felt playing it, if I remember.
It was very short, yeah. And compared to the Temple of Shan level that comes, is it before or after it? I can't remember.
I think it's
But that's one of
before.
that level is incredible. So compared to that, it does just seem a bit dull. All I really remember about the I can't remember what that's. I think it's called Floating Islands or something like that. I can't remember the name of the level, but the one with the floating jade crystals. I do just remember like it was just you jumping around on the crystals a lot, and it
Mm.
was a little bit dull.
And then there was like the weird enemies there that would like sort of float towards you, if I remember.
Yeah, they're all weird enemies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But the level before that is really cool. I'm trying to remember. I think you start off going down a slope and you're like you go down a waterfall or some rapids or something into like the temple. I think that's the one you're talking about, right? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. The Temple of Shan level is that's like a fan favorite because it is just classic Tomb Raider through and through. There's nothing particularly special about it in the sense that there's no set pieces that really stand out, but it's a classic tomb raiding sort of
Mm.
you're in an ancient temple and it's full of traps and
Isn't that
it's
the
like
one with actually like
really high up.
the big dragon statue or whatever in there? Is that the one? I might think of a different one.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd say that's a pretty cool like set piece.
That's right.
And then it's got
That
like
is
the area with all the
I
suits of
forgot
armor.
about that one. I forgot about that. That is quite a good set piece. But it's just it's so well done.
Yeah.
It's very like tightly made, and it's great level design.
Yeah, I bear in mind it's been like 3 years since I played all this. I actually remember playing the sunken ship. I remember specifically the sunken ship. It begins with an M. Does it begin with an M? I forgot what it's called.
Oh my god, I should know this.
You should.
Oh, I
You're the
really
big
should. I
202
do
guy.
know this too. I do know this. It's in my head somewhere. It's not coming when I need it.
Does it
But
begin with an M? I feel like it's an M. I don't know why.
yeah, it's Maria something.
E-
Maria Doria or something like that.
I don't. I'm.
Yeah, it's Maria Doria.
I was at Maria Doria. Okay, the Doria part didn't sound right. The Maria part was like, yeah, I'm sure about that part. But then like, okay, that was a good level as well. I remember playing that. This is when I never had a cam. I'd ordered like a box of like 40 Kinder Buenos off Amazon, and I was just like, I've just had that at the side, and I used to just have them on stream every now and then. It was a good time. Oh, I miss those days. The good old days.
Go for the bueno.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah. Other than that, I guess that's all you've been playing, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Bit of Breath of the Wild, but that's just because it's so easy to just jump into and do a couple of shrines here and there.
Yeah, that's true. You can't just jump into Breath of the Wild. I've been meaning to actually jump back into it myself. I think I've put it away somewhere because I've currently got a different game in my Switch, and I'm like, don't want that game in there. I don't know why I've got that game in there. So I'm gonna go look for that at some point and pick it up. I usually just jump into Mario Odyssey because I've got that actually downloaded.
That's great to jump into as well, actually. It gets people. I think people give it a lot of flack for the Moon system and how it gives them out so easily, and you don't have to do much to get them compared to like getting a star or a
I'm
shine
okay with that.
in 64 Odyssey. But yeah, I think it works. People forget that it's still still technically a portable game. So you've got to have these easy objectives, and you can just jump in and do one.
Like 5 minutes, get a moon or two, and then you're like, ooh, I feel good about myself. Put that down. Yeah.
It's all sorted.
But yeah, that's all I actually do on Mario. I will just jump on and I'll be like, all right, I got a moon, feeling good.
Yeah.
I want my day. But what else? What have I been playing? Played some Arcade.
No way. Say it ain't so. You've still not uploaded a video, I've noticed.
Yeah, I've just been busy. Like I've got I've got it like done pretty much. I just need to like render it out. I've been uploading podcasts to the other channel on the side as well, but that'll be out soon. What I actually did is I've added like Mario Kart sound effects to it, and done like a little map, like being like race 1. This is where we're going, race 2. So I tried to add some details to it to like have it be more than just me talking over the race, being like, all right, here we go. Because I literally just turned on Audacity, opened up OBS, and just hit record, and just went along and just did a little live commentary as I was playing.
Sounds like good fun.
Yeah, so some Mario Kart noises in there. I got the Mario Kart a double dash. I got the double dash raceways soundtrack playing. So gotta have that in there.
Game fan. You're gonna get cease and desist by Nintendo.
Oh no, I should be okay. It's all right. They won't notice. They're pretty chill about YouTube nowadays. You know, they don't have the whole you need to sign a YouTube contract thing to make Nintendo videos.
That's true, I guess.
They backed off on that one. When did that happen?
That was
like 2013.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, they aren't as bad in that regard, but they're still pretty bad, as we'll be talking about later.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So what have you been up to this week in arcades then?
What have I been up to this week in arcades? Well, just been hanging out, doing stuff. I got an advent calendar in arcades that we open every day. It's pretty good. Got some decorations in it for my house.
Yay! The Christmas decorations up.
Yeah, I can throw them up. I'm not the most festive of people, you know. I'm not feeling it just yet. I'm not feeling the spirit just yet. We'll get there eventually, I'm sure. It doesn't usually hit me until like the 24th. I'm like, I'm feeling a little Christmassy today.
Absolute Scrooge.
I'm okay with that. You know what? Little Timmy. He's gonna have to work Christmas Day.
No workers' rights for Timmy.
I'm sending him to the coal mines.
Jesus.
Listen, I'm just learning from all our great game industry leaders.
Ouch. It's true, but he shouldn't say it.
What else have I been doing? I've been participating in raids. I've been like getting involved a little bit more. I'm trying to slack less because I need to. I don't know. I want to catch up and get involved in some more of the PvP content. So I've just been doing a lot of that, and then I've just been doing my thing, hanging out with some other but I don't know what to call it, streamers, I guess. Spoken with a few more of them in the arcade. I was gonna say content creators, but then I was like, I don't really like that term that much.
It sounds pretentious, doesn't it? I can't put my finger on why, but it kind of does.
It's like influencers and content creators I don't like, but they're kind of standard now.
I guess I think content creator isn't so bad, I guess.
Influencers definitely worse.
Yeah, influencers. I wouldn't even really say that people who make YouTube videos about gaming or make Twitch streams are necessarily influencers. There's a slight difference, isn't there? Arguing semantics now, how exciting.
Don't worry, we'll be arguing semantics later on as well.
Oh, we will. Oh god, yeah, that's gonna be a fun discussion to have.
Oh, but yeah. Other than that, just I don't know, leveled my alt a little bit, just chilling, doing stuff on there. Yeah, not a lot in arcades, just doing the usual stuff. I don't know if I've not done a race. I've not done another race or anything big this week, so I've not got a ton to talk about in arcades. Just been staying on the grind. And then other than that, I feel like there was something else I was playing, but I don't remember what. My brain is not working.
Did you do an indie game night? Because I didn't spot you streaming last night.
I didn't actually get one done last night. I was busy putting stuff together, but it's fine.
That's just wondering if you could talk about that, but never mind then.
Yeah. It would have been nice if I did indie games, so that I'd have a little more to talk about there. I don't know. Other than that, I was like watching some stuff. Like I saw some Star Citizen gameplay because that's still not done yet. So I was like, I'll take a look at it. When was that actually crowdfunded? Was that 2012?
Well, I always get this mixed up with a different game because there's a lot of space sims out there these days that aren't quite
Mm.
finished, or weren't finished when they were released, and like I get them all mixed up now. Star Citizen
I think it was
was apparently
2012.
kickstarted in 2012. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. And it's not done yet. Apparently it's still a way off from what I was told. I actually saw them get in a big ship, and one of them went up to the top floor, and the ship blew up when they were taking off, because apparently you can't be on the top deck for that, because that's a bug in the game right now.
amazing.
But it does look really cool. I feel like if it wasn't buggy and it was done, it'd be real. It looks like potentially like that like Dream Space MMO that I've always talked about. I feel like that's what it could be.
I do think we're getting closer and closer to that these days. I mean, because there is Star Citizen, which is trying to achieve that, and Elite Dangerous, I think, was the other game I was thinking of that I get it mixed up with sometimes.
Yeah, it's not an MMO, but it is really cool.
Yeah, that's a space sim, isn't it? That's just a space sim on its own. No Man's Sky is just inching closer and closer towards being that, because that is becoming more and more online as time goes on. Um, I think we are getting close, and I think we are finally going to get that game sometime soon. Because I've always wanted a kind of an online space sim as well. Basically something like Eve, but without it just being
Yeah,
all menus.
exactly.
It's a dream, isn't it? That would be incredible.
And
I think No Man's Sky probably is the closest we've got to it, which is funny because that's not even supposed to be a simulation. But it probably is the closest we've got to it currently. But I'm sure someone will make something soon.
yeah, I'm waiting on that, and I'll play a bunch of that when that comes out. Or even I was told there's apparently free like flight tests for Star Citizen that go out every now and then, so you can go on and do like a little trial and try the ships out and stuff. So I might consider trying that at some point because it does look fun, and I don't know. I really want that Dream Space game. I want big space battles. I want parts of ships to like break off, and I want you to have like a crew of people to man these ships. And if someone's off the backside, the back gets blown up, they're gone, they're out. But like the people at the on the other sides of the ship can like run to escape pods and stuff. I think stuff like that's really cool. The idea that you can, and then you only have one life, and if you die, you get IP banned from the server.
Hardcore, man.
That's like my other Dream MMO where it's just like you go in. I don't know. I don't care what setting it is, but when you die, your character's done, and you can't put any outside contact information in. It's just going to be your in-game name. You can't put like Twitter handles, Discords, or anything in there because that just gets deleted. You can't have any contact with players inside, so you don't know who the people are. And you've got to party up with people to survive. And then when one of your party members die, you never see them again. You never know who that person is. They're actually dead to you. That's what I want.
That does sound cool. How do we not have a game that's like basically, like Star Trek, where it's just a bunch of people controlling different parts of the ship and having to work together to pilot the ship? We've got that with like I can think of examples with. I mean, I might be wrong, but I can think of examples with ships and airships, but I can't think of an example with spaceships off the top of my head.
So there is actually a Star Trek game where you do that, but it's a VR game. And
I've not heard of it.
I think it fits like 5 players, and you'll have like people take on different roles on the ship, and they have to do different things, and you've got to like get to a destination. So it's something like that. I don't know the details of it because I've never played it myself. But
it would work so well in an online or an MMO setting.
It would be really cool to have in that. I think the problem people have is they want people to also be able to solo play these MMOs, which you could just have one-man ships for stuff like that if you really want to. I don't see the issue of having something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would make for something really cool. Like, just imagine this massive cruiser, and you've just got to have like a guild of people to man it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's what I mean. Like loads of people, like people managing navigation and engines, and then you can have people who like pilots in a hangar who can send out sort of frigates or little fighter ships, scouts and things like that.
That's the dream.
Like, how is that not a thing?
and you can have like Star System does have like stuff like that, but they're very small. They're not like massive cruisers, but there might be a massive cruiser in there. I don't know. But on top of that, like they've got little dining halls and stuff that you can sit in where other people are on the ship. So I'd like stuff like that where you can even walk around the ship and see other guild members walking around, getting to like their posts and stuff, or just taking a break. And then all of a sudden, someone blasts the side of the ship, and they just fly out the airlock and they're gone.
Yeah, that's it. All we need is just need to just take FTL and make that an MMO.
Yeah, that's what we do need.
And
Oh, you are cutting out a little bit there. But FTL the MMO.
yeah.
In like 3D. Oh, that's what I want.
That's the dream. Now we're talking about games we wish we'd been playing this week.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really have much else to talk about. If we want to go take a 10-minute break and come back with the news, unless there's something else, which I don't think there is. I'm sure I'm gonna remember one of a game when I go, but it's fine. All right, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and we'll get right into the news. And we're back. Welcome back, everyone. So let's get into the news. Also, you know what is another game that I wish we would have been playing this week? Cyberpunk. I'll be talking about that a lot next week. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah, only a couple of days now, pal. I know because the boss told me so today in giant letters.
Oh, of course. As they tend to. And apparently reviews are out for it as well. Which, do you know what? Actually, do you want to talk about that first, very briefly?
Yeah. I mean, there's not much to say. It's reviewing very well, except it's apparently incredibly buggy. Even by the standards of modern AAA games, which tend to launch buggy. Part of that is going to be because they're playing the copy that went gold 2 months ago and hasn't had the day one patch yet. So hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But yeah, reviews have gone out, but there's still a partial embargo out. I didn't mention this to you when we were talking about this before the podcast actually, but they've all the reviews have been on the PC version, so they've been talking about incredible graphics, but we don't know what it looks like on consoles. And there's a big embargo in regards to talking about how it looks on consoles, which if you've seen anything about the leaks which happened a few days ago, you probably know why. I don't think it runs very well at all on the base PS4 or base Xbox One. But I mean, what can you expect? It's obviously was built with the new gen in mind. As weird as that is, because the game kind of predates this generation. It's been in development that long, but yeah, the build that we're actually getting isn't designed for those consoles at all. But it's reviewing very very well for the most part.
Apparently, no mention of Keanu Reeves in the review that you read, right? In one of the reviews.
IGN. Apparently, it's well. I was speaking to someone in the award-winning Super Jump who was saying that he thought the review that IGN did was a bit weird because it didn't mention Keanu Reeves. Well, it kind of mentioned him in passing, but didn't kind of critique him in any way, and it didn't mention the driving at all, despite the driving being a huge part of it. But again, that's going to be partially because although reviews have been allowed to go up, there is still an embargo in place. There's still certain things they can't talk about. It's weird how they're doing it, honestly. Embargoes like that always concern me slightly, because sometimes it means that they're hiding things from us. I guess we'll just have to see. We'll find out very shortly anyway.
Yeah.
But it is reviewing very well for the most part. So
it's either that or there's just some really. It's either that or they're just like, we don't want people. I don't know. They don't want people getting a look at the game before the day one patch, because I know the day one patch is like 40 gigabytes worth of fixes. So
I'm sure that'll be part of it, because you have to remember this game very unusually was delayed after the game went gold. So for the last 2 months, the game's actually been finished, and they've just been bug fixing. So that's 2 months of entirely bug fixing that the review copies are missing out on. Apparently, they did actually get an update midway through the review period, but it's still not all of the bug fixes. And yeah, if you have seen anything of the leaks that happened, the version that would have gone gold and would have released like 2 months ago if they hadn't have delayed it, it clearly wasn't ready at all. It's horribly buggy. Um, Characters just like driving into walls and stuff, like totally breaking their pathfinding and just driving into walls. So
I've not actually seen the leak, but I've read on it, and apparently it was just like two random guys or something sitting on a couch that had like it felt like they'd never really played an RPG before from people watching. From what I heard, I don't know
yeah,
if these were the same
that
leaks.
that's always the way with leaks, because it's always random people who get it, and they never seem to be good at the game. I
Yeah.
remember there was with Sonic Mania leaked. I remember one guy got a copy of it early, and he leaked it on. He just like he live streamed it on Twitch, and he had this really
Mm.
smug attitude, like I'm going to ruin the whole game for you guys. I'm going to show you what the whole game looks like, and there'll be no surprises. And he was dreadful at it, and he couldn't get past the halfway point.
I feel like he has to be memeing at that point, right?
He was just bad at it. I mean, Sonic Mania is a game that's made for hardcore Sonic fans. It's made for the people who've played the original
Mm.
Mega Drive, Genesis Sonic games to death. So it's not a game you can just jump into. And he'd obviously never played a Sonic game before. I think he just thought he could. He was obviously a troll, and he was playing it to troll and hadn't played the Sonic
Yeah.
game before and got absolutely slaughtered by it. So good. What a
But
guy.
it is just bizarre how these are the people that get their hands on it and then are just like, just gonna stream it on Twitch.
Yeah, it's because it's the nature of it, isn't it? It's going to be completely random people. Someone who's just been lucky enough to have a person give it to them before the release day accidentally in a shop or something like that. So
Mm.
it's just it's always going to be some totally random person. It's very rarely someone who's aiming to leak the game. It's usually just someone who it happens across it early. So
Yeah,
you'll get
it's just
someone
bizarre that
who's
it's never
not
anyone that's
confused.
any good at any at games or has no investment in it whatsoever.
Yeah. Uh, like that famous footage of Doom 2016. Was it an IGN reporter? It was a reporter for a big like website, and they got to play the first level, and it was as if they'd never played an FPS before in their lives. Like they just couldn't hit anything. It was awful.
I
And
mean,
like,
from
if you're
what I
gonna get
understand,
some
that's just most
shocking,
game reviewers. You know, we saw the Cuphead tutorial guy. Remember that guy?
it is funny how games journalists are usually awful at games. It's weird. Like they must have to play games more than we do. Um, Surely,
Mm.
because it's their job, you'd think that they'd be good at it because they must put more hours in than most hardcore gamers do.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff like that happens. But yeah, I thought that'd be an interesting one to bring up before we jump into the rest of the news. So, should we talk a bit about Daybreak? Because they now have a new owner. For those of you that don't know, Daybreak are, I believe they own a bunch of MMOs.
EverQuest 2, DC Universe Online,
Planetside,
PlanetSide 2,
yeah.
and Lord of the Rings Online.
Mm.
So
So,
some big names there actually.
yeah, some really big names. I'm sure there's another Lord of the Rings game on the way, like an MMO as well. I don't know if Daybreak's behind that one.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. But yeah, they got acquired by who they get acquired by? Hold on, I'm gonna have to pull it up. I've
Why
got
don't
the
you
name.
read your own articles, pal?
Because I thought I remembered it. Hold on.
EG7,
EG7, that was
whoever
it.
these guys are. I think
So
the main
yeah.
thing to take away from this is that they're pumping more money into Daybreak because Daybreak have
Mm.
been struggling financially for the last couple of years. It's the main takeaway here, isn't it? Really, it's my
Yeah, which is a
understanding.
shame because I've not played PlanetSide 2 in a long time. PlanetSide 2 was a ton of fun.
Mm.
I don't know if you ever got into that, but it was a really good time. And they did a lot with PlanetSide 2 when it was like big. I remember them
Yeah,
doing tournaments and stuff and big events.
it was a really good game. I did get into it later down the line. When you first got into it, I didn't have a rig that was good enough to play it.
Ah.
I played it later when it came to PS4, and it is really good. It's a great game, absolutely.
Mm.
DC Universe Online as well did pretty well for itself for a few years when it came out. It was quite a popular game. Um, obviously they own EverQuest, but I don't think they made EverQuest. I assume they acquired EverQuest somehow, because EverQuest is very old as well. It's like
Yeah.
a 20-year-old game. It's one of the very first MMOs, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've not heard much about any of their games in recent years, honestly. But maybe this is because they've been struggling. Um, it's good to see that they are getting some money pumped into them again. Hopefully, it means that we'll see some more from them because they are a good studio. And
Mm.
in sort of like the early 2010s, they did put out some absolute bangers. That was when they were kind of at the top of their game, really.
Yeah. I'm sure there's like one other game they own that I'm not thinking. H1Z1. The H1Z1's like one of
Oh,
the more
really?
recent ones, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they did that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
much more recent than DC Online or
Yeah,
PlanetSide.
it's weird that they list those ones in there. I'm sure they have more as well, but H1Z1's the one that pops into my head.
Let's have a look. I'm gonna see what they've done. Oh no, they did actually develop EverQuest originally. They've been going for a long time. PlanetSide, of course. Oh, they did Star Wars Galaxies. That was a really popular MMO at the time.
Yeah.
They've made a lot of famous MMOs actually. Now that I'm
Mm.
really looking at them. What have they
I
made
mean,
recently?
H1Z1 was like a bit of a weird one for them, to be honest, considering what they
No,
usually
they've not
make.
done. They've not done H1Z1. That's not listed
They,
on their Wikipedia.
I'm pretty sure they have
H1Z1. Let's have a look.
Battle Royale. Just we're like
I
now
know the
fact
one.
checking mid-po.
Okay. That's weird. Yeah, they're credited to it on Google, but it's not in their list of games on Wikipedia.
Hmm.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah,
That's weird.
I was like 80% sure that they were, because I played
Oh,
H1Z1 for a little bit.
because they've renamed it to Z1 or Z1 Battle Royale, and I
Oh,
forgot that. So, yeah, you're right. They did that. So, yeah, they've EverQuest next. Awkward.
yeah. I mean, I guess
Mm,
H1Z1 is their most recent big success, which was a few years ago now.
yeah. So I think their problem is that over the past 5 years, they keep starting projects and not finishing them. Like there was EverQuest Next, which was really hyped up and never went anywhere, and PlanetSide Arena, which was apparently cancelled in December 2019. Service
Hmm.
shut down January 2020. I've never even heard of that.
I remember being hyped for EverQuest Next though. I remember they had
Yeah, it
a.
was a huge deal.
It didn't. It wasn't. It like it was kind of like they mixed Minecraft and EverQuest together, if I remember.
Uh, yeah, that's right. Well, Minecraft was really big at the time,
Yeah.
and that was kind of a thing that a lot of MMOs were promising was more creativity because that was kind of where the industry was going at the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, it never really came about though, but sad. But I feel like
Well.
MMOs are finally catching up with that now, finally promising more customization and more player-built worlds. But it probably would have been really good if they'd actually finished it.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. Well, I feel like we're gonna see a resurgence in MMOs very soon because there's a lot on the way, which is looking very promising. You know, we got Ashes coming. We got Arcade 2 one day.
Arcade 2.
Got New World.
Wow, excited. New World was good fun.
Mm.
I did enjoy that.
But yeah, there's not an as like because that was gonna be very open in how creative you could be, and I don't think any of these upcoming MMOs are gonna do that because this felt
No.
more like what's that one game? That doesn't help.
Amazing.
But there's like a really old game where you can like it doesn't control great. You like everything takes like ages to mine. You can build up like towns and stuff, and it's all like player and RP driven. I've forgotten what it's called.
Is this an MMO?
I want to. I don't know if it's an MMO. It's like kind of an MMO, if I remember.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I might
Feel
even
free
own
to
it.
shout it out in half an hour's time.
Yeah,
You
I will.
remember.
I will because I don't know. My brain's not working today. I can't remember stuff. Oh well, that's fine. But yeah, that's interesting. We'll I don't know. We'll see what happens with Daybreak. I could have sworn there was another Lord of the Rings game on the way. I don't know if they're the ones making it though. Either way,
don't seem to be according to Wikipedia, but
either way, yeah.
Don't really follow Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Should we talk about a little bit Sony and the Silent Hill and Gravity Rush creator actually?
Yeah, Keiichiro Toyama.
Thank you for saying his name. I was stalling for that.
I thought you might be. Keiichiro Toyama. He's left Sony. He's mostly his biggest success is easily that he was the writer and director for the first Silent Hill back when he worked for Konami. Shortly after doing that, he joined Sony's Japan studio, and he's been there until very recently. Kind of a big name. Yeah, he did Gravity Rush as well. Obviously is the kind of guy who likes to make his projects very different. Every time he makes something, it's totally different. Yeah, he's gone off to make his own studio?
Yeah, he's opening up Bokeh Game Studio, I believe.
I don't know how to say that. That's the photography term.
Yeah, it's a bokeh lens. I'm pretty sure it's bokeh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else to actually say about this. It's just it's always cool when you see people going off to make their own studios. It's because I think he's perfectly capable of running his own studio. I think certainly of directing his own projects. So it's cool to see what he'll do. I feel like we are getting every single week we seem to be reporting on someone going off to their own studio.
That's what I was gonna mention. It does feel like there's just more and more studios popping up from big names that have left bigger companies. So it's interesting. Maybe we'll just get inspired.
Maybe over the next generation, we're going to see more games made by these sort of mid-sized studios, big names, but not necessarily with big publisher money behind them, which will be really interesting to see. I think they'll be more more creative, AA games, if you will. I feel so clunky.
I don't like it. Yeah.
But I get that. I guess that sort of is what they are. Got a little bit more creative freedom that way. Not got the shareholders coming down on you potentially, and a lower budget means there's less money riding on it, so you can take some more risks. So you tend to get more interesting games this way.
Yeah, it probably won't be as overly monetized because I think a lot of AAA games, or well, quadruple A, as they're liking to call them now, are they're putting so much money into these games, marketing and developing wise, that they have to make it back on stuff in game like microtransactions or DLCs or whatever. So these AA companies can maybe go back to the roots.
Hopefully.
But yeah, that's oh, lost Tef. He's gone.
Oh yeah, hello.
Hello.
Reach around my screen.
But yeah, speaking of AAA companies, Activision Blizzard are very upset. Did you hear about this?
Oh, sorry, but you've missed a story.
Oh, I did. I did actually miss a story. Listen, it was a good tie-in.
Shame.
All right.
You're too busy thinking about the segue.
Yeah, I was trying to segue too much. Well, Microsoft acquired Smash.gg. Not a very good segue now. But
Oops, sorry. This is all because I don't know anything about these guys. Esports is not really my thing. I think I vaguely knew the name.
Well, Smash GG is esports. They do a lot of gaming tournaments and stuff, and you can kind of guess from the name. Which it's weird that it was Smash.gg that they acquired because they were a big Smash community, and this is Microsoft acquiring them, which is interesting. But well, I guess Nintendo doesn't really acknowledge them, so.
Yeah, which we'll circle back around to that later. But yeah, at least they are getting acknowledged by somebody.
I mostly know them for Smash, so I don't know what the plan is here. I guess they're gonna organize a lot of events for Microsoft, and Microsoft are gonna maybe lean more into esports, because esports is still a growing market. It's just getting bigger and better by the day. So I think everyone wants a piece of that pie.
Yeah, probably. I think it's just all part of the general acquisitions that they're making at the moment, isn't it? They're trying to build up stronger brands going into this next generation, and this is probably just part of that. They probably just want these guys to organize events to go with their new games, their new brands. Um, I can't think of any esports friendly Microsoft exclusives off the top of
I
my head
can't.
right now. I mean, they acquired Bethesda, but that's not it's not going to help them.
Fallout
No one
5 speedruns.
Yeah, exactly. No one really plays Doom competitively. Gears of War, maybe. Halo used to be, but isn't anymore. And with 343 at the helm, I don't think it'll ever be. I don't really think they're
They could
confident enough to
push.
make a tight competitive game.
They could try
Honestly,
and push Infinite as an esport, though, if
they
they
could
really
try, but it won't
wanted to pour
work.
money into it. I don't know. It
Yeah, but
depends. We'll have to see.
you've got to have the players behind it. And 343 are just really sloppy when it comes to game balance. I
Mm.
can't see it happening.
Yeah, I think they will try and push it. You know, they don't have Mixer anymore, so they gotta host the tournament somewhere. They gotta get the tournament set up somewhere else. And I guess they could just show it off on their own platforms. Like, they don't really need Mixer to, show big tournaments to a bunch of their players. They can just have something on the dashboard or whatever that'll just pop up and be like, hey, here's a big tournament going on. Feel free to watch.
Yeah, true.
So they can
big thing
host that.
Actually, I don't know whether this is the case on Xbox, actually. I was going to say, it feels like on consoles, having a sort of central game hub is such a big thing now, but that's kind of more of a PlayStation thing. Slightly on the Switch, but I don't know if it's a thing on Xbox, because
I
I
think
haven't had an
Xbox does it
since
as
the
well.
360.
Like, there's an Xbox One in the house, but I've not really used it. But I'm pretty sure they have like a central hub as well. I think they all do. So I don't know about the Xbox Series X. I've not got to see the UI or any of that for it.
It's the same. It's the same.
Okay. Because I've not been in. I don't know. I'm still not like that invested in the consoles yet. I'll look at them in a few months' time maybe and see what they're doing.
That's fair enough.
As will a lot of people, I suppose.
Kind of forced to.
Yeah.
Have an option. Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's all one platform, isn't it? So they've not built a new UI for the new Xboxes because they're not new consoles. They're an expansion of the current line as far as Microsoft sees it. So, yeah, it's another thing that shows the different approaches to the new generation, because Sony have used the opportunity to completely rebuild their UI. Because to them, it's a completely new generation, but it's not necessarily the case for Xbox.
I guess it makes sense because they want this to be like a line of consoles, like, the iPhones.
Exactly.
We've been talking about this for a while, and I don't know if they've explicitly said that anywhere, but they've implied it in a lot of places, and we're kind of seeing that come to fruition. So we'll see where they go in the next few years. All right.
Sorry, I'll
Speaking of big publishers, have you heard about Activision Blizzard, Tef?
I have a bit of corporate beef, and who doesn't love a bit of corporate beef?
Corporate beef. Kind of hungry now.
Tasty. Bit seared as well. Ooh. Stuff.
Very salty.
Oh, very salty.
So,
bit of the old poaching, I've heard.
Yeah. So, Netflix is getting sued by Activision Blizzard because they poached an executive from them. They're not happy.
Not happy at all. Yeah, Chief Financial Officer was ripped from his post before his contract expired. Tut.
Which, in other words, means he's getting a lot of money. He's happy.
Ooh, yes. I mean, I've got to say, as much as I hate Activision, if you're looking for a good financial officer to lead your company and make a lot of money, you're gonna look to Activision because they make money by the bucket load. They do it in horrible, horrible ways. But I mean, he's obviously good at his job. It does concern me a little bit though that he's going to be working for Netflix now. Like, are we going to start getting microtransactions in Netflix? I would not be surprised. But yeah,
if you paid $10, you can skip this episode and it'll give you a short recap of what it was about.
Yeah, that sounds like something Activision would do. or Netflix shows will start taking up 300 gigabytes of your smart TV's internal storage.
Oh yes.
TV just bursts into flames.
But yeah, I don't know. It's always funny seeing these back and forths because it's just, I don't know, they're just like fighting because clearly they just weren't paying them enough, you know? Netflix was like, hey, have we got a contract for you, my friend? And he was like, all right, I'm out, and just left.
And God knows Activision could have paid him more as well.
Oh yeah, they could have, but you know, Bobby Kotick's up there like, nah, I've got to keep my my 40 million bonus this year.
I mean, I think, they're both huge companies, but I suspect the margins for Activision are a lot better than they are for Netflix. Because you don't pay much for Netflix, and you do pay a lot to Activision. So, I'm sure they've got more money to throw around, honestly, but there you go. Whatever.
Yeah, well, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to monetize Netflix more than they do. I say that now,
Yeah.
we'll look back at this in like 5 years' time and Netflix will be an evil corporate empire. So, who knows?
Remember when YouTube didn't have mid-rolls? Remember when YouTube didn't have adverts? Those were the days.
Still doesn't for me.
Hey. It's actually hard to get hold of decent ad blockers these days. Ugh.
You just get 5 at once. Does the job.
Yeah, actually, that does work, to be fair. But at what cost to your RAM?
It's true.
Anyway, not that we use ad blocks, because we're
No,
good.
no.
We're law-abiding citizens, and we pay back to the services that we use.
For the people I like, at least.
It's true. So, I'm clapping because I'm excited. Should we move on to the BioWare segment? Because for some reason we've got a whole bunch of BioWare news.
We do have a lot of BioWare news. A lot revolving around Dragon Age, which is just fun. So, Dragon Age 4, there's going to be a reveal, apparently. There's a rumored reveal at the Game Awards. So, this is on the 10th, I believe. I want to say it's the 10th, same day as Cyberpunk. God, I want to play Cyberpunk. But yeah, so that's gonna be, we're gonna see a reveal, we're gonna see some Dragon Age. It's gonna be a while. It's actually Dragon Age 4. It's not, I don't know what maybe they'll have something at the end of it. What they had Inquisition last, what will this one be? What comes after the Inquisition?
Who knows? I've not played a Dragon Age game. Excuse me, I've not played a Dragon Age game since the first one. Which was it was a great game.
It was really good. It was a really good game.
It's about the only BioWare game I've actually ever enjoyed. I'm trying to think.
I couldn't really.
It was okay, but
I couldn't really get into Mass Effect.
No, I could never get into Mass Effect. BioWare games should, by all means, they on paper, I should love them. But they never click with me really. But I did enjoy Dragon Age. I didn't think it was incredible or anything, but I thought it was good fun.
I thought it was really good for its time. Like, it's a really good game for its time.
Well, definitely, yeah. I mean, I played it when it came out, so.
And then 2 came out and was a bit mediocre. 3 came out and 3 to me kind of felt like an MMO. It felt like an MMO disguised as a single player game.
Oh, really grindy.
It had a lot of like grindy quests and stuff like that, and I don't know, I wasn't as interested, so I'm interested to see where they go with 4. It might not be the best directions though, because recently the Mass Effect and Dragon Age leads left BioWare.
Yep. So we don't have the old guard in charge of this new one, which is a bit concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know where this is gonna go. Like who? So who's now in charge? I don't know if they say who's now in charge of these
Well, we
projects.
don't know, do we?
Yeah,
Because 4 isn't actually announced yet. So,
we know it's
um,
coming. Come on.
we know we know it's coming, but but BioWare have not given any information on it. Um, but yeah, so we've lost BioWare's general manager Casey Hudson
And
and
Mark.
Dragon Age's executive producer Mark Dara. Yeah.
Mm,
Um,
so that's gonna be interesting to see how that pans out. I feel like we've seen a lot of leads on a lot of games leave over the last year or so.
we have, yeah. There's been a lot of shifting around, it seems. Which is going
Mm,
to make this next generation really interesting. A lot of a lot of game series are going to have to stand up on their own 2 feet and be directed by someone else for the first time.
mm,
Whether they can survive that is will be interesting because a lot of series just don't, honestly. So
I mean, potentially we
uh,
could see some, some new blood come on in, do something really cool.
yeah, I mean it does happen sometimes,
Mm,
but it also often doesn't happen. I can think of Halo as an example. I can think of Tomb Raider as an example, which I mean it's popular now, but it
yeah,
struggled for a long time. The last half of the classic series didn't do well once a lot of the old guard left, and the first reboot, which I did like, wasn't that well received by everyone. So,
was Legend the first
uh,
reboot?
yeah.
Yeah,
Legend, Anniversary, Underground. Most people think that they're just okay, but they certainly weren't as successful as the first games or the
yeah.
new reboots.
I didn't play Underworld.
And
I think I skipped Underworld.
yeah, that was the weakest one anyway. We didn't miss
Mm,
much. Yeah, I mean, but then on the other hand, you've got games like Breath of the Wild, where that series needed new blood and actually did so well because it got some new blood in there. Maybe this will happen. I mean, BioWare's games have been pretty awful for the best part of a decade now, anyway. So maybe some new blood might actually
I think they've not
inject
been
some
awful,
life
but
into
they've
them.
just been like coasting along. They've kind of just been doing the same thing and just like slightly upgrading it, you
Well,
know.
I mean, there was Andromeda. That was pretty awful.
Well, I mean that was actually a
Inquisition
different
wasn't bad.
studio though.
Oh, it was. Sorry, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yes, that's true. Yeah, an Inquisition. I didn't play that, but apparently that was okay.
yeah, it was just okay.
I was always suspicious of Inquisition because it was always on sale incredibly cheap, like very, very cheap. Even on the PlayStation Store, going on sale for like £2, which just doesn't happen on consoles, and it was constantly going on sale for so cheap, and it was reviewing well when I was looking it up. But the fact that it was going for so cheap made me suspicious of it, so I never picked it up.
Hmm.
Um,
That was a
Odd.
game that could have been like a live service game if they wanted to with the way it was like set up. I don't know if it had any elements like that. I feel like that was before live services became like a big thing.
Yeah, maybe wasn't quite ready for that.
Mm. But yeah, that potentially could have been one of those games. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Mark Dara actually also got into a little beef
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Bit of spiciness about him leaving. Um, this is interesting because I hadn't heard anything about this, or really anything about the people involved because I'm not that big into BioWare. But it's just a funny little bit of Twitter beef. It's good fun to talk about, isn't it? I'm glad you threw this one in so we could just
Yeah,
have a
you
laugh
know,
about this. Um,
thought
so
we
yeah,
thought we just
it's
laugh about it.
yeah. We just like to laugh. All we do on this podcast is laugh at big companies because we're poor and they just seem so far removed from us. These are
Yeah,
big rich
that,
companies in America
that's it. You
somewhere.
know what? We just blame it all on them, and we can feel good about ourselves.
That's it. Lifts up our spirits. So today, children, we're talking about Greg Ellis, who's a voice actor who voices Anders and Cullen in Dragon Age. I don't remember who they are, but yeah, he's a voice actor in Dragon Age anyway. And he tweeted in response to Mark Dara announcing his resignation, and he
Mm,
said, "I've worked with you for over 10 years as the voice of Cullen and Anders, um, and I've never worked with a more disloyal, duplicitous corporate fake. Your enforced resignation," because he thinks it's like he's actually just been told to leave, "is a victory for BioWare, its employees, and particularly the fans." He's not happy, and yeah, accusing, well, accusing Dara of being
Disloyal.
disloyal,
And
duplicitous, corporate fake. What? It's
I don't know what
just
that last bit
okay.
means.
Does it just mean that he's kind of? I mean, I can when he says corporate fake, I can sort of imagine a certain type of guy.
I've got an idea, but like it's
but
kind of
then
normal, right?
yeah, but then I guess he's kind of described him as like a slimy businessman.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Mark Darrow's like firing back, which I think's great. He's like clap back on Twitter saying, "Hey there, Greg. I've been letting you slide for a while, but I think Dragon Age Day is maybe the day when that ends." I don't know do you know what he means by that? Because I don't get that last part about Dragon Age
I
Day. Um,
maybe the 10th. Unless there's
maybe
an actual Dragon Age day, because I don't know if they've got like a specific day where they celebrate Dragon Age.
yeah, I don't know. But maybe
It
there is.
sounds a
We
bit
just
like
have
a
a Dragon
threat,
Age holiday.
honestly. I'd be scared if I
I,
was Greg.
I mean, he carries on as well. Um, he just lays into him. He goes, is there some world where you imagine that your behaviour with regards to me and the community in general would actually cause you to ever be hired on a Dragon Age game? I'm not sure if this is performative in some way in order to get attention of a different group, but it certainly isn't going to endear you to a company that cares about its public appearance. I like this because he's just left BioWare, but he's telling him that you're not going to get hired by BioWare again. So I read this and I thought, like, who do I even like believe here? Like these two
Yeah,
guys are
it's
firing
hard.
off at each other.
It's Twitter. It's
If
he said, he
yeah,
said, she said sort of situation.
absolutely. But then you read more into this Greg Ellis guy, and apparently he's quite well known on Twitter for mouthing off and getting himself into Twitter
No, no.
arguments. And he's he's announced himself as being an ally for quite a lot of um, very far right uh, spokespeople on Twitter. One time he just went, "I'm drawn to out of the box thinkers and feelers," and then listed a bunch of people who were connected to like far right groups. So
Like,
it's a
you're talking like
controversial figure.
fascists or like how far
Um,
right?
uh, well, according to Kotaku, which is what the article that you linked me to, they're talking noted bigots. I don't know these guys. They're linked to something called Turning Point USA, which maybe means something more to they're apparently like
American
some sort of
politics.
conservative American, yeah, far right group. Um,
Oh, Jordan
and
Peterson. I kind of know. I've heard of Jordan Peterson before.
and he threw Kanye West in there, which I think is funny. Calling Kanye West a free thinker is maybe a little.
He's definitely a free thinker.
Mm,
He does think freely.
be a bit careful with that because I'm not entirely convinced that Kanye West exists. I don't think he's living
In
on
this
our planet
plane.
these days.
In this plane
Yeah,
of existence.
he's off in some happy realm that's not ours. Um, so this guy, yeah, this guy seems like a bit of a loose cannon. Definitely a controversial figure.
I mean, it's Twitter.
Yeah, yeah. But the fact that Mark Dara is kind of shooting back doesn't make him look great either. But it's just funny Twitter drama, isn't it? Can't beat a
Yeah,
bit of the old drama on the internet.
it is. It is just funny. Oh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's not really anything else here, but yeah, Jordan Peterson is a. I've heard his name quite a lot. I think he's like a professor. He was a professor at some university. Something like that. I don't know.
No idea.
But I don't know. Is he like far right? I don't know if he's far right. I guess it depends on your
I should make
definition
it
of
clear,
far right.
I don't know anything about this. I'm just reading off the
Yeah,
Kotaku article. This is American politics, so our knowledge of it is limited.
very
We're not
limited.
American, obviously. Um, it's just that the Kotaku article calls them right-wing puppets and noted bigots. So take that as you will.
It is Kotaku at the same time though, so I don't
Yes,
really know.
exactly. Obviously, Kotaku is very left-wing, so that might be skewing the perception a little bit. So, but yeah, I kind of don't want to move away from the BioWare section. That is the end of our BioWare section. The
Why
next
do you
thing
not
that we
want to
have
talk
to
about the
talk
next issue?
it's going to be a fun one to talk about. It's Yeah, it's a controversial sort of situation.
Purple
If let's
side
talk
bad.
about Pebble Site is. Pebble Site's not being bad here. They're just maybe being a little bit misguided. Maybe kind of just doing the usual big corporation virtue signaling here.
They might
Honestly,
be a little blind, Tef, I'll be honest.
blind to the truth. So the Purple Site, Twitch.tv, has removed the blind playthrough tag and is encouraging you to use the first playthrough tag now instead.
With no
Um,
spoilers tag as well on top.
and no spoilers. Yeah.
So instead of using one tag, you now have to use
You
two.
have to use two. You have to use two now because you can't use blind playthrough anymore. And this stems from a discourse which has been happening on Twitter, basically saying
Because that's where
that,
everything happens nowadays.
of course, there's Twitter discourse saying that blind playthroughs ableist, and it seems to trace back to this guy called Stephen Spawn, who's
Spool? Is
the
it Spool or Spawn?
Spawn, Spohn, Stephen Spawn.
Oh, okay.
Um, Yeah, so he's from what I can tell, he's the head of the Able Gamers charity, and he seems to be the one who started this discourse. So he was basically saying that we should rethink the language we use, which okay, of course that's fine. I don't have a
Language
problem with that.
changes. It's cool.
Absolutely, we should think about the language that we use and how it affects other people. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he said though, because okay, I'm trying to find his tweet now. I've lost it.
See, I think Steven's also a streamer on Twitch as well, and I think he does a lot of good stuff on the platform, but this just seems a little odd. My take on it is I don't really care. At the end of the day, I honestly don't care. I don't even use tags, but it just seems really dumb. I don't think it really affects anyone. It is just a metaphor, and it's just a phrase people have used for ages, so...
In his defense, he wasn't aiming this at Twitter. He was just talking about this generally on Twitch, and I guess Twitter picked it up and saw it as an opportunity to make it look like they were doing something good for disabled Twitch streamers, or well, and their followers, I guess. But he kind of he lists a bunch of ableist language that he doesn't like, and he does talk about things like he says don't use the word spaz and don't use the word retarded, which is
Which
absolutely
is fine.
I agree. Definitely don't. That's not cool. But he also includes the phrases blind to criticism and falling on deaf ears, which
do we have to take everything
really
literally nowadays? Nowadays, you know, we could.
They're metaphors.
Yeah.
It's not like using derogatory language that's aimed at someone is one thing, but blind to criticism, falling on deaf ears, blind playthrough, blind spots, blind corners, all that, they're metaphors. And it's not meant in a way that's meant to belittle anybody. And I know that I'm not blind. Obviously, I can't speak for these people, and he is disabled.
I don't think he's
Not
blind though,
blind.
is he?
I guess he's not blind. No, so take that as you will. But I guess as the head of Able Gamers, he is the spokesperson for this. But honestly, like if you just go on the internet, there's a lot of people who also aren't disabled say that they think this is great. But then if you look into blind people and what they think, they either don't care at all and say just this is just dumb,
Doesn't make a
which is
difference to
another word
them.
I shouldn't use actually. But yeah, it
We're
doesn't make any
dumb.
difference. But well, yeah, because I mean,
I
dumb,
mean,
stupid. And what part does it? It's how far does it
yeah.
go? Because dumb, crazy, stupid, all them, they are ultimately they
They all
came
came from, but like at this point, they've been generalized and changed so much over like language changes. Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole kind of worms that I only want to open partially over here all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so a lot of blinds a lot of the blind people who responded to this have said Twitch could have done something that actually have benefited
Yeah.
blind people, like had a high contrast mode, or had an option to make the Twitch chat bigger, like the text size bigger, something like that. That would have actually made a difference. What they've done instead just kind of looks good as a headline on Eurogamer. um it seems to have just disillusioned blind people, and I don't know.
I feel like it's backfired for the most part though, because no, everyone's like, this is dumb.
It's definitely black. Yeah, it's 100% backified for Twitch. Blind. It's a metaphor, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's not belittling anyone. It's not meant to be belittling anyone in any way. It's not the same as calling something retarded. It's just not comparable. I'm sorry.
Mm.
It's not the same thing. Um, and like you said, it's actually made the user experience worse because now there's two tags to create a scene
Yeah.
effect instead of one. Was it really worth it? And not everyone listening might agree with what I'm saying here, and that's fine.
I don't think
Fully up for discussion on
we
it,
definitely
but
don't do the show to like agree with shout. You know, we just give our opinions. I think that's it, the
yeah,
idea.
exactly. And sorry if I offended anyone, but that's my view on it.
I don't think we need to be that careful about it. I think it's fine. I think most people get that you don't need to you don't need to take these words literally. They are metaphors. You know, if we start taking the whole English language literally, like, what are people gonna write in books? You know, like, how do you make that interesting?
That's it. It's literally, it's the richness of language that we will use these metaphors, and as long as it wasn't done with malicious intent, then why should it matter?
I don't know. Again, I don't actually care. No. But I just thought it's a big thing that a lot of people have been talking about. I say big, it's a small thing that people have made into a big thing that everyone's talking about. And
we just got to get our Purple's like bad segments in there.
We do. That's it, really. But yeah, that's all we really can say on that. Should we talk a little bit about Nintendo now then? I know you had a story. I don't have them listed right now, but we have the general idea.
That's fine. I can send you some reading materials over while I'm talking about it, pal. I wanted to talk about this because, Zan doesn't really follow much console stuff in general. But I think it's controversy, and we've got to talk about Nintendo being bad, Red Company bad, or whatever, because Nintendo makes some really, really strange choices. And we've actually got two stories about Nintendo.
Yeah.
So one is that Nintendo cancelled a Splatoon 2 tournament that they were hosting. And they cancelled it because the Splatoon scene came out in solidarity for the Smash scene. Because Nintendo famously hates the Smash scene. Some of that is definitely warranted. The Smash scene is incredibly toxic and has done some very dodgy things in the past. And Nintendo, it's not in
especially this year.
Especially this year, yeah. And in the past too. It's been going back. It's basically for as long as it's existed, and it's not in keeping with Nintendo's family-friendly kind of aesthetic, if you like. I can understand that, but they've cancelled the Splatoon tournament just because they've like protested, which just seems, they've protested in support of something that's completely unrelated. It's I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I can see it from both sides with Nintendo. I can see why they don't necessarily always want it to be seen supporting the Smash scene. But
yeah, first they're going to support each other, and then they're going to start forming unions, and they can't have unions.
Oh no, not with a Japanese company. I'm going to go with that. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem fair on the Smash and the Smash teams. Honestly, really. I wanted to throw this in here because I thought you might have more to say. Honestly, ultimately, this is esports, and I don't follow enough with esports. I was wondering what you would think about it. If only Zolt was here, I'm sure he'd have loads to say.
Honestly, I don't think Zolt have much to say on this because it isn't his scene. It's not really my scene either, but I mean, it does suck for the Smash scene in general. Like those guys and everyone like that does Evo and stuff, they do really good stuff and they put on some really good shows. And it's just like, I don't know why they can't just allow them to, show some support for people, their fellow esport orgs and stuff. It seems really strange because a lot of these people would want to connect as well and actually get together, and they could maybe even do something even bigger if they really wanted to. But when you've got Nintendo, at the helm being like, no. it's a bit of an issue.
Nintendo are a really funny company when it comes to esports because Splatoon and Smash are both games which are very clearly built around esports. You can tell that when you're playing them. They're designed with rank play in mind, but they don't actually support the tournaments. They do nothing to try to build the scene. It's
Mm.
very confusing. I can't tell what they actually want from these games sometimes. Smash, especially like Splatoon, when you play it, it doesn't feel like any other. Feel like any other Nintendo game. I don't know if you've got any experience with Splatoon at
I
all,
actually
Zan.
don't know.
No, okay. Um, it. Do you know when I first played it, I actually thought this feels a lot like Halo used to in like the Halo 3 days. It doesn't feel like any other Nintendo game in that it doesn't really feel like it's aimed at casual players. Obviously, you can play it casually, but you can tell that Splatoon wants you to get good and play it competitively, and it wants you to learn other systems and learn what plays
Hmm.
well for you. And it can get really addictive. And when I first got it, I played quite a lot of it. I really got into it. There's a lot there. It's obviously built as a competitive game, which maybe is why Nintendo support that a bit more because Smash, I don't think Nintendo always see that as a competitive game.
I
Smash is
personally,
funny.
I don't. Like they're definitely seen as the more casual esports. Like for Smash in general, that's seen as like the more casual fighting game esports. But it's also seen as the
Yes.
most fun one to watch for a lot of people. And
Hmm.
Splatoon, I got the impression that that was supposed to be more of a just an experience where you can casually just jump in and have fun. But if you're saying there's also like it feels like it could potentially have like a ranked and be set up for esports, that's interesting.
Like I said, it feels a lot like Halo. With in the days of like Halo 3, you could jump in and you could play matchmaking and you could have a fun time. You didn't have to be particularly good, but you could tell that the systems were there for you the systems were kind of encouraging you to get better and to jump into ranked play. And you'll find it in Splatoon. If you play unranked, you just play one game mode, which is just the one where you're trying to cover the map in as much of your color paint as possible.
Mm.
And that's all that you'll get in unranked. But if you play in ranked mode, then you get the different game modes and it cycles them out where every couple of hours it will change what game mode is in ranked, and they're the ones that get more interest, and they're the ones where you've got more like death matches and King of the Hill style
Okay.
game modes. When you're playing ranked, it's actually putting you in game modes that are more competitive.
Mm.
um, it's definitely Splatoon is definitely built with esports in mind. Smash is a game where I don't think Nintendo ever intended for it to be competitive. I think the scene made it competitive, and they've kind of rolled with that. But you can tell that Smash was always meant to be a very casual fighting game, and it's kind of just accidentally falling into an esports scene.
Yeah.
It's a very strange game
So
in that regard.
also, as someone who's not played Splatoon, the impression that I got from all the advertisement is the main game mode was the paint the map game mode. That's like the impression it gave off. So that's why I felt like a very casual jump into, have fun sort of thing. And
Yeah,
that's the impression I had overall, and that's why I had the impression that it was more of a casual, you know. I guess
yeah,
compared to other esports as well, when it comes to shooters and stuff, it definitely does fall in the more casual category.
Yeah, that's fair, but that's because you're looking at the market, and it's still a Nintendo game. The marketing is going to appeal to the casual gamers first and foremost.
Mm.
Um, but I was surprised by how much of a scene it had when I played it. It doesn't really feel much like a Nintendo game, honestly. Obviously, like and when it was at its height, Splatoon was played by a lot of kids, definitely,
And squids.
and kids and squids. But it's a different vibe when you play the ranked games, definitely. Um, you'd
Mm.
have to play it to understand, I think. And I get what you mean. The marketing definitely skews towards the casual players, but it's a really fun game to play ranked. I really had a lot of fun with it, and I kind of want to go and play it right now because I haven't played it in a long time. um, it's a really really tight game too. It's really good, and there's nothing quite like it, obviously, because it is a shooter, but it's also not a shooter, and it's got mechanics which just don't exist in other games. And it's one of those shooters. it's in that kind of new breed of shooter where it's all about the movement, and fast movement, and being in control of how you're moving, and using the tools that you've got to increase your movement speeds and things like that is such a big part of the gameplay. It's just great fun. I want to play it now. You should
I
get to
might.
continue. We should play.
I might give it a go at some point. But yeah. Also, Nintendo been doing some more bad stuff. They talk about the Eticons, I believe was the name, which now just makes me think Oticon. Which
this is very
scummy.
I see this from both sides, but I still fall. I still fall on the side of the
yeah.
the people making the Joy-Cons at the end of the day.
I don't know, like if the side is like they've got to like because they've legally got to protect like their trademark. I feel like they could let this one slide. Like this one's okay. So
should we explain what's actually going on?
Yeah. So for you guys that don't know, there was a YouTuber called Etika, which I think he committed suicide. Was it this year?
Oh no, God, no! It wasn't.
Or was it last year?
It was,
if it was very recent, I feel like.
I think it was before then. Oh, it was June 2019.
Okay. It felt recent, at least. This year's just flew by. But yeah, that happened, and he was a big Smash guy, I think. From what I understand, he was big in the Nintendo community, and so this company had come together to produce the Eticons, which were a tribute to him, and it was raising money for suicide awareness, I believe. So it was a really cool thing, and Nintendo came along and were like, well, actually, we don't like that brand on there, so we're gonna have to shut this down.
Yep. Because they used their argument was that they used the word Joy-Con, and they've got that trademarked. So they got cease and desisted because that's what Nintendo does best. And yeah, I do agree with you. Obviously legally they kind of have to do it, but at the same time, Nintendo cease and desist everything, and you don't actually have to protect your trademark quite this vigorously. And for the love of God, they were doing it for charity. Usually companies will let trademarks slide if they're not profiting off it. So come on, guys.
Yeah, like there is a legal obligation to do it, but it doesn't need to happen. Like even then they could have reached out and been like, okay, let's work together on this to produce these for charity and do like a limited run. They could have done that. There were so many other approaches, but they were just like, okay, just shut it down. I feel like there's just no self-awareness there.
I don't know. I think their legal team they must operate without. Yeah, they obviously aren't paying attention to the community or paying attention to any context to what they're doing. They seem to just be slamming down that ban hammer left, right, and center with no, like you said, no awareness. That's a good way to put it, really. Yeah, it doesn't make Nintendo look good. They're such an old-fashioned Japanese company in that sense, though, where they just don't particularly care how that comes across.
You'd think they'd, they might want to raise some awareness for suicide, considering where they're based.
Well, yes, actually, that's very true. Yeah, it is scummy. Absolutely, they were just trying to. I mean, as far as we know, all the proceeds were going to charity. If it turns out that they weren't, then fair enough. But I highly doubt Nintendo had information that we didn't, honestly.
Yeah, because this was like a Indiegogo or Kickstarter, whatever it was called. It was like actually funded. It was crowdfunded, I believe. Right.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I think you're right. It was a fundraising campaign. Indiegogo. You're right.
Yeah, and then that just all the proceeds were going to charity. So I don't know. It shouldn't be an issue. It is bizarre. I think it is just like, you know what, the lawyers need work. They got to pay them for something. And it's just really unfortunate they're doing stuff like this. There's a lot of good stuff that, fans are creating. Like, especially when it's charity stuff, you don't do this. But, yeah. Awkward silence.
All right, that's sorry. I was just thinking about Etika. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
Honestly, awful.
No, it's
I never really
tragic
followed
when
him,
stuff
but
like that happens. Yeah. He's a very energetic guy from what I saw.
Just seems like a lovely guy, honestly. Really wholesome. Do you know what is the image that Nintendo wants?
Yeah. Well, that's it for the news today anyway, so ending on a bit of a a sad note.
Yeah, I'm depressed. I need to play some Splatoon now.
Need to play some Nintendo games to make you feel better about what Nintendo's doing.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'll play Among Us instead. That's
Could do
best,
that.
I think.
That might help. But yeah, so that's it for the show. Tef, tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs.
Just about nowhere at the minute. I'm not posting anything. But I'm on Twitter as Teffers. That is the best place to find me. I've whacked that in the chat, those of you who are in the chat. And yeah, I also write Medium articles for award-winning Super Chunks occasionally. I don't like saying that, but there seems to be a meme now, so there you go.
It is the meme.
Yeah, I've been on a little bit of a break at the minute, but when I do write them, the latest article is always pinned on my Twitter, so you can find it there, and from there you can find the rest of my articles. Latest one is still Vice City. I did an article about how synthwave was inspired by that, and about how it's sort of how Vice City created a second wave of nostalgia for the 80s. I'm not good at putting things into words when I have to speak them. Just go read the bloody article. So that's why I write it down. So yeah, that's me. What about you, my man?
Mario.
That's me, Mario.
So, I mean, most of you that are here already know me, but if you don't, it's Zanrise on Twitch, Zanrise on YouTube, Zan Games on Twitter, and the real Zanrise on Instagram, although I don't really post on Instagram that much. Maybe I'll start on there again at some point. You need to get that clip of the Metal Gear on there, maybe.
Oh, that's an iconic clip.
It was a good time. But yeah, we also have a YouTube channel if you want to catch up on the podcast VODs. We're also on iTunes and Spotify. So if you want to listen to the podcast on the go, feel free to check them out over there. And yeah, that is us done. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thanks for hanging out and discussing along with us. And we will catch you all next week. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.